season here in California. All right, so here is the bundle I am sharing with you today. It's called Daffodil Daydream. There are some beauties here to either stamp and outline cut or die cut and build your flowers. The greetings here are Easter blessings and Mother's Day. So I am going to share with you one of my all-time favorites, sentiment stamp set that has not come off the shelf for quite some time. And it's a shame because this is a wonderful sentiment stamp set for your library. What I like about this Peaceful Moments is that it has the two-part sentiment. So some of us like to have a sentiment on the outside that might say something like happy birthday or deepest sympathy, thank you. But there's also the sentiment for the inside of the card. Hello, Monica, my friend over in Virginia. Oh, I am just collecting friends from around the country. I love this job, this Stampin' Up gig. What other job can you meet friends from all over the country? It is so cool. And I am so blessed. Let me continue sharing this stamp set with you. The outside of the card, the inside of the card. It's a great sentiment stamp set you would like to have. And it's been a while since I inked this up because it coordinates with the pretty poppy flower set. Not using poppies today, I'm using the daffodils. So there we go. Those are the two stamps that I am focusing on. And the paper I'm going to bring in today is Subtle Touches, is called Daffodil Afternoon. This is the celebration freebie that you can get with a $50 order. It's gorgeous paper with these beautiful earthy colors and lots of colors that coordinate with it. And I love that we have the bold designs on one side and some more subtle colors and patterns for the flip side. And I've heard a lot of commenting that some of the papers are pretty dark, but you can always lighten it up by flipping over and showing some of the subtle colors on the back side. Hello, Betty from Wisconsin. I hope you're doing well this big game weekend as well. All right, so let me take it away. And if you are searching around in your celebration catalog, that paper is on page 4. It's a 12 by 12 paper, so really nice gift for your $50 purchase. The bundle itself comes from the mini catalog, the January to June mini catalog. It's on page 37. It's called Daffodil Daydream Bundle, and it's got a beautiful stamp set and the coordinating dies that you can either outline cut the images from or you can build your flowers. So we are going to be working 3 ways with the Daffodil Daydream bundle. I hope you enjoyed this bundle as much as I did. So, all right, let me get started one more time. Cheers, my friends. It's gonna be a great weekend. All right, so card number 1, project number 1, way number 1 with the Daffodil Daydream bundle. We are going to build this very pretty card it's got a couple different elements on that I'm going to share with you. Look at this showstopper on the card. It's that beautiful ornate layer. This is a die set. Oh, thank you, Marcia. This is a die set that has been in my basket for too long. These dies are just gorgeous, and this is the one I'm using here. It does all the work for you, honestly, in building the card. There's some more delicate or simpler frames as well, smaller frames, just a stitched frame. So lots of great choices on this die set, and it's intricate cutting, so I would recommend that you pass it through your cut and emboss machine 2 or 3 times, even flipping it. That way you can get a clean cut on all those small pieces that you're gonna have to kick out. So that is the focal point or the background of the focal point on this card. And the sentiment says, these are the moments we'll look back on with joy, which I think is just a beautiful sentiment. When you open it up, it's a congratulations card. It could be the birth of a baby, an anniversary, a wedding, lots of different occasions. Let me share with you how I created this card. So I have several pieces. First of all, if you're a beginner, it's not too difficult. You probably need a little bit of crafting skills, not a lot. Thank you, Debbie. My card base is Daffodil Delight. It is the 5.5 by 8.5 orientation, so I'm just going to be folding that down in half. I do have a layer that is 5.25 by 4 inches, and I actually have two of these. It's basic white. One is going to go on the outside, and since it's a colored cardstock, I'm going to put one on the inside as well. As I mentioned, I have that die cut from the Ornate Layers that I pre-cut. I have a small scrap. This is 4 inches by 3 inches, and this comes from the celebration paper, Daffodil Afternoon. I love the beautiful contrast on this, the dark colors and those pretty flowers. On the flip side is a really pretty crushed curry pattern, and you could use either pattern on mine. Actually, let's try it with the opposite pattern on screen. And I am going to do one thing. I don't know if you can see when I cut the paper, it looks like my track on my trimmer needs to be cleared out. So what I do, I like to bring in my sanding block, and I'm just going to kind of sand that down. It's almost like filing your nails so you don't have any frayed edges. And I'm just going to be a rebel. And I'm going to flip it. I'm not going to use the dark side. I'm going to use the crushed curry. Thank you, Christy. I appreciate you saying those kind words. I like it when I create a project and it goes over well. All right, so you're going to be able to tell me, do you like this or do you like that? Because we are going to go with the opposite pattern as I create with you here. I also need some scraps. So I'm needing some scraps to stamp and die cut these pretty blossoms, and also the sentiment. So let's get a little bit of layering done. That helps me not lose everything. Honestly, I'm going to start off layering up my 3 by 4 inch designer series paper. I'm going to layer it onto my basic white. And you know, for a couple of weeks now, I have been saying that I made a new friend, and that name is Seal, Stampin' Seal. And I'm kind of delighted that I cannot use my seal today because I am fresh out. Who would have thought that I'd run out of Stampin' Seal, because I just did not get along with it initially. So I didn't invest in refills. So don't you know, that's on my order. And Christy says she's gonna wait to see the change. So let's see how this looks. Thank you. Hopefully, I think they're both gonna come out nice. I don't know which one I'll like more, but anyway. Okay, so I've layered that up, and that was pretty simple. They're both the width 4 inches, and then the DSP is 3 inches. I'm gonna bring in my card base, and I have pre-scored it on the 4.25 inch mark. So I just need to turn that over and then burnish with my bone folder. Y'all know that's essential tool number 2. We need that Stampin' Trimmer number 1. All right, so now I'm gonna bring this in, and this is gonna be layered atop the Daffodil Delight. And let's see. So Christy, I'm kind of curious too, because my card base is Daffodil Delight, and the DSP, the color that shows up a little bit more, is the crushed curry, which is kind of like a tone of the yellow, right? So we might be safe. I'm going to bring this in this way, and I am just going to keep building, because the more layers I can eliminate, the better my chances of not losing things. So I've added my DSP layer, and I've added it to the basic white, and then put that on the base of the card. Next, I'm going to build on the Ornate Layer, and I am going to put this up with Stampin' Dimensionals. And these are the standard size. I'm just going to put 4 down. I like that I can eliminate some of these things. That way I don't go crazy looking for them on my desktop. because that just happens. And it's not just me, I've learned. When I've watched other crafters, it happens to everybody. And that makes me feel a little bit better. Okay, so there we go. So we've got that ornate layer background on there. So now I have a little bit of stamping to do. So I'm going to put my reference card aside, and I'll put my current project down. We are going to do some stamping with Memento Black ink. So today's projects just require the Memento Black. And let's see, I'm going to stamp one of the bouquets. This one has 3 daffodils on it, and stamping in Memento Black. And let's see, I need to stamp down. Oops, that's okay. I just want to make sure that I'm not using, and it looks like I'm going to need to trim that down. I just want to make sure, right? Okay, so I'm just going to stamp that down. This is going to be die cut with the outline stamp, and I'm also going to need the single daffodil. So I'm going to ink this up and just stamp down on a little scrap. I used this earlier. I'm going to ink down. There we go. So we have 2 stems, and then I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment for the outside that says, "These are the moments." Just going to ink down here. That's going to be hand snipped. And let's see, here is the inside of my card. I'm going to go ahead and stamp that as well. And on the inside, my message is just going to be congratulations. So right through here. So, all right, let's see if I can stamp this semi-straight. Right in this horizontal center. There we go. Not too bad. I'm going to cover up that ink so I don't get inky all over. All right, there, and pushing that aside. Now I'm going to do some coloring, and then I'm going to do some die cutting. And you know what? I'm going to take care of this right now. This goes on the inside of the card. And I'm just using a little trail of my Best Buddy Tombow multi-purpose liquid glue. It's very forgiving, and that's what I love about this adhesive. Very forgiving, very economical. We usually get along just fine. There we go. So there's that. Now I'm going to be doing some coloring, and my coloring blends that I'm using are Daffodil Delight, and I've got the light and the dark. And then I also have Old Olive, and I have Light Mossy Meadow, and Light Evening Evergreen. So it's 3 greens. And I do want to say that on the reference for the Daffodil Afternoon, they do list Pear Pizzazz is the green. However, we do not have a Pear Pizzazz blend, and I found that the light Old Olive is really nice as well. So I'm using the light, and that's what I'm going to color my stems in. Actually, I'm going to be using a few greens, and I'm just going to come right in. You can see I'm using the pen tip that helps me control for the narrow stems. And just coming up here. So who is watching the big game this weekend? Are you a sports fan? And if you're watching, if you plan on watching, are you watching it for the game? Or are you watching it because it's fun to have all the snacks? Are you watching it for the halftime show? Or are you going to be watching for the commercials? So I'll share my reason for watching after I see who's commenting what. I don't want to be the loner out there watching for my reason. Maybe somebody else watches for my same reason. So Marcia says for the commercials, halftime. Oh, Debbie, we have a Southern California team. Yay. We'll see. When I ask my husband who he's rooting for, he always says, well, for the winner, of course. So we'll see. Yeah, Lots of commercials in halftime. Yes, the commercials have always been memorable, haven't they? Companies pay so much money for a few minutes, seconds of time, and sometimes we don't even remember what the product is when we see those commercials. Yeah, I know. I used to like stand by, just call me for the commercials so I can come and check them out. So I remember one of maybe the most memorable was was it the Bud Bowl, which was really, really engaging. And I remember there was also one with Betty White when I think she was playing in some kind of a game and she got her strength through one of my favorite candy bars, the Snickers bar. And so I'm going to be the one who says, you know, I like the snacks. So lots of snacking. I do like the commercials. And wow, I have to say, some of the halftime shows have just been episodes you don't forget. Like, who can forget Prince and Purple Rain, right? That's like always in my memory. So there's lots of memorable moments from the big game. And it has to do usually with the commercials or for me, the snacks. So we'll see. I'm not sure. My husband has told me he's going to record the game so that I can watch the commercials just in case I've missed anything. So what about the snacks? What's your favorite game day snack? Do you snack, or are you pretty good about just watching? Because I'm all about the snacks and the drinks, and to me that's that's funner than the game. We'll see. So like, is it like chips and salsa? Is it those wings? I don't know, pizza? So you can see I'm coloring in light old olive, and then I'm coming in with my darker greens in the shadowy areas and just under the flower. And then I'm gonna come in again. Oh, you're right, Christy. How about that Janet Jackson one with the Justin Timberlake? Yes, that is one not to be forgotten either. That wardrobe malfunction that happened. Yeah. Carrots. Debbie, my friend, is eating carrots for Super Bowl. Whoops. Carrots, yeah. I will say carrots are my hound's favorite snack. So they get carrots and they get pumpkin, and they love them some carrots. Sometimes I like to dip the carrots, maybe. Or I do like carrots. I like carrot soup. Our dinners usually have carrots as well. So carrots are yummy. Nice snack, right? You're right, Christy. Getting together with friends and family to watch the game is probably the best thing, and that's why all of that is fun. All right, now I'm going to bring in my Daffodil Delight, and I am going to color. Let's see if I can color with my brush tip, and I will be the first to confess that my brush tip is pretty frayed and it's pretty dry, although if I press down, I can still get some good color out of it. So I do. And I also use the pen tip. And the only trouble with trying to squeeze all the color out is that brush tip is no longer specific. So it's a little bit harder to get into those tricky areas without going outside the line. However, we do have that color lifter. If it gets a little bit crazy, we can go in and pick up that color that's outside the lines. So this is such a pretty set, and I think it is daffodil season just about right. The daffodils are going to be popping up. One of my favorite winter flowers. So the tulips, the snowdrops, the daffodils, I like all those bulb flowers. And I usually think of yellow daffodils. There are some that are kind of white with a little bit of edging of pink and different colors. So you could color whichever you like, or whichever the recipient would like. and it goes fairly easy. I'm going to be coming in with my dark Daffodil Delight to bring in just a little bit of detail right through here. All right, so next I'm going to bring in that dark Daffodil Delight, and I'm pretty much going to follow the stamp. So wherever it's got the little lines, maybe a little bit around where it would be a little bit shadowy, I'm going to go in and highlight that around the edges. And what I like about this, there isn't going to be any fussy cutting here because we have a coordinating die that will cut the outline of the flower. Right, like so. And do also on this one. And I mean, if you are an expert, Marcia says, yay, no fussy cutting. You know, some people like it. It's kind of soothing to just relax and cut for some people. I have a dear friend, Tracy, who I can't wait to see the expression on her face when I say something has to be fussy cut. And it's just not fun for some people. So it's nice when there is a die that cuts all of it. And just coming around, and here we go. There. Right, like so. And again, I'm just kind of going in where the stamp has already kind of dictated needs to be a little bit darker color. I'll show you up close. And see how easy this coloring is. The blends do all the work because I am not one. Oh, I get it, Marcia. I am not one to spend a lot of time coloring, and that's what I love about the blends. They make everybody an artist. All right, so now what I'm going to do is bring in the two dies that will cut these flowers. And I have my little mini machine, and that is going to do the job for me. Thank you, Christy. Yeah, I know that there are also people who enjoy coloring, so cutting, coloring, any of those tasks, if that's your thing, then go for it. I like a quick color, and I don't mind fussy cutting. Although, if it's a project that I'm going to mass produce, I probably stay away from fussy cutting. So as you know, when you use the mini, you need to stagger the plates, so don't try and be all neat and line them up perfectly. You actually want them staggered. Okay, so now look how beautiful that cuts, and I actually did a pretty good job with my outline. I have one more to die cut, and let's just see if I can do a decent job on this one too. Sometimes they have some washi tape at the ready, and I didn't I didn't get set with washi tape here. I will say, oh, you know, I'm going to show you the dies because if you own these or you're thinking about owning them, I want to warn you about something. So let's see. Usually when I'm doing it for the camera is when I muff up, because I know if you've watched me once or twice, there's usually a little sticking point for me. But again, that's pretty decent, right? Yeah, so there are times when I just completely go sideways, as most crafters will. And what I want to share with you, okay, so here is the die set, and the cool thing about the die set, and you're going to see this on an upcoming project in just a few minutes, we've got doubles so that we can actually create two die cuts to build the flower, and we have the inside detailing, the same with the others, two of the little buds of the daffodils, we have a butterfly, and what I want to warn you about, because I had to do a lot of praying earlier. Look at this die. Oh my lordy. Look at my thumb. Do you see that? Wow. So it's on his little piece of washi tape. That is the body to the butterfly. So you layer it up and it's going to create a beautiful butterfly. But what I lose sleep over is losing this tiny die. I had a piece of washi tape on it, and when I started crafting today, that little die was not in the case, and I was already worried that I had lost it. But lucky for me, I was actually thinking ahead the last time I used it, and I put it in a little container. And so there it is with the little washi tape. So be extra careful that you have all your pieces there. The other thing I'm going to share with you, since I have them out now, is on an upcoming project in just a few minutes, we are going to be using the die cuts of the stems. And again, they gave us multiples. They gave us 2 leaves and 2 of the floral stems. And what I like to do is just washi tape them all together. I can do them in one pass without having to arrange each stem individually. It goes really quickly. And that's one of the things I love about this die set. The multiples and the ability to crank out a few dies in one pass, it just makes everything so pleasant. All right, so that was the die set. Oh, I think I spoke too soon because here is my sentiment, and guess what? I am going to come in and I'm just going to round this out, and let's see if I can keep this nice and neat. I'm going to make the cut that says these are the moments, and then I'm going to cut straight across. This is going to be a 2-part greeting, and then I'm going to take the second part and trim it up, and it's going to look really nice, and it's not too difficult. I'm going to do a straight cut on top and come down and around and then over and down. And what I love about this stamp set is the 2 types of fonts. We have the sans serif font and then this scripty font, which is really, really pretty, combined to make nice little greetings. I love the way that looks, and the designer did a really good job with this typesetting. Yeah, thank you, Marie. Once in a while I'm trying to make things easier so I don't have to do as much work. I'm trying to get away with fewer steps. All right, so then I'm just going to kind of curve out the second piece, and I'm going to come up and around the scripty parts and then come up and over. So not too difficult really, just kind of round that out. All right, so I've got all my parts. Let me hurry in and assemble before I start losing things. I am going to say that on the single daffodil, I am going to trim it up. I'm going to take off the 2 left leaves. So just like so, just going to come right up here. And that's just because it got a little bit bulky because I'm going to be layering these on the card front. And I'm just kind of going with the die. So simple. All right, so we are going to layer these onto the card, and I'm using dimensionals. Let's see, right there, and behind. Let's see if I can push that up so you can see a little bit better. This daffodil set is perfect for Easter, right? It's perfect for springtime, perfect for Mother's Day, and guess what? It is so perfect that it's actually going to be my next class coming up. I will offer it 2 ways. You can do the class in the mail, or you can do the live in-person stamping. And I do that because I know some stampers who are local still enjoy gathering together with other crafters. And so there's some advantages to stamping with a friend. All right, so now I'm going to bring this in. I'm just going to have this hanging off a tiny, tiny bit here. And I'm just going to do some flower arranging with the stems and the bouquets. And then this one's going to come up like so, just over there. See, with the extra leaves, it was kind of making it a little bit too bulky. Now I am going to put the top sentiment, these are the moments, I'm going to put that up on top with a dimensional. And it's going right over here. Let's see, it's going to hang off a tiny bit. And my part 2 of my sentiment goes down around the stems. Oops, I actually wanted to put that off to the side. Let's see if I can give that a try again. And you know what? I'm going to use, whoops, it's hard to get rid of now. I want to use minis because I want them to come on each side of the stems so that I'm not doubling up on the dimensionals. So because it would be stacked too high. Thank you, Marie. I appreciate the kind words. We're not done yet though, so it still gets prettier. Okay, so there, already it looks pretty, right? It's nice and stunning that way. But how about we add some pretty ribbon? And so I'm actually going to layer up the ribbon. I have the gingham ribbon that's in Bumblebee, but I think it's going to look really pretty. And then I have some of the scalloped ribbon, lace ribbon, that we're going to put in there as well to soften it up as well. And let's see if I can get away with making my bow and not snipping yet. And the lace can be a little bit shorter, so we're just going to use less of it. And I'm just doubling the ribbons. And you could cut. You know me, I try to be really resourceful and not waste. And so I find that making my bow before I cut, I don't have to use as much. So there we go. And I'm just going to pull that down a little bit. And again, the lace ribbon is a little bit shorter, so I can just snip that at an angle and come over here at an angle. And there you go, nice pretty lacy. It really gives it a soft edge to it. And I'm going to put this down right next to the flowers with my favorites, my little mini glue dots. Y'all know these come from the paper pumpkin. That little sheet is very handy. And I have a great supply of them. So the ribbon is a perfect use for them. And you can see I'm using my essential tool to take your pick to place the glue dot and also to remove that sticky that keeps it covered. And there we go. And it's coming along, right? But we're not done yet. We're going to continue on with some pretties. We have the Bumblebee Trinkets, which are so fun. And you get a bunch in the little container. You get like 20 in the container, so you have plenty to work with. And to secure it, I am just going to use a couple of mini glue dots off my roll. And I kind of put them on each wing to stick it in place. Thank you, Marcia. I think it's a really pretty card with the gorgeous daffodils. All right, so this needs a little bit of help down here. There we go. Now, here's the moment of question. So, I was the rebel today. Sometimes when I have a club, I have a stamper that doesn't follow my sample. And usually I'm just green with envy because it came out so pretty. What do you think? Do you like this, the original, or do you like that with the flip side of the DSP? I'm kind of torn. I like them both. I like the nice contrast with the dark background there, but I do like the tone on tone. We'll see. So simple, really. A little bit of coloring, a little bit of layering. Marcia says she likes them both as well. It's hard to choose. Yeah, the right. So the crushed curry on the back, maybe. It is softer, I think. So maybe for springtime, the lighter background would be nice. Pam says she likes them both too. It's really hard to choose, but you have the option. That's what's so cool about the double-sided paper. All right, so that was the first way with Daffodil Daydream. Let me share with you way number 2 with the same bundle. So that was just stamping and coloring and die cutting. This one, let me share with you, It's another beautiful card, but with the bundle, we are going to be using the die cuts and creating the daffodils with the die cuts rather than stamping. But again, I've used the same sentiment, the Peaceful Moments stamp set for happy birthday. And then on the inside, we've got wishing you happiness this special day will bring. Sorry, wishing you every happiness this special day will bring. And so the outside and the inside both come from Peaceful Moments. Really nice sentiment to continue on to the inside of the card. All right, so let's build this card. Really easy to do. Thank you, Marcia. And the card base is evergreen, evening evergreen, standard cut, 5.5 by 8.5. Okay, so I guess it's by project that I start losing things. So now I'm on to project number 2, and I need my bone folder, my essential tool to burnish this down. I pre-scored it at 4 1/4. And I'm gonna need 2 cuts of Very Vanilla. One is a little bit taller than the other. And so I know the one that's shorter is gonna be 5 1/4 by 4. And this is gonna go on the inside of the card where we stamp in our sentiment. Then I need another piece of Very Vanilla. This is what we're gonna build that background on. And we're using cuts of the Designer Series paper. So these are like the scraps, because sometimes when we use larger pieces at the bottom of the sheet, we have like 1 inch or 1.5 inches left. And raise your hand if you save them. I do. I know. I'm a paper hoarder because I save all of those scraps. But they come in useful at some point. So here's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna lay out a nice little background, and we're gonna create the background here. I've got the little striped pattern, which is Pale Papaya and Flirty Flamingo. Then I have a little Pale Papaya Dotty pattern, Pale Papaya, and again, Flirty Flamingo. Oh, here's the the not so dark side, the print side. We've got the dark side there, and then again a dark side. So this way it kind of lightens up the background. And let's see, next I'm actually gonna use the dark side here, and then I'm gonna finish it off with another Pale Papaya side. So I'm just gonna flat adhere that. I'm creating the background. Yeah, yes. So it's hard to let go of those pretty paper scraps. We can actually do a lot. And you can even use them on the inside of your project to kind of highlight your little sentiment. All right, so there we go. And all I'm doing is gluing and adhering flat and a little bit of a pattern, because I'm going from, I wanted a darker piece at the base. I've got the lighter, and then I've got that pretty grid paper. And just over. And now I'm going to have a little bit of grounding here with the darker color. Yeah, it's nice to save all these little scraps because it's fun. There, and one more. And like so. And I'm going to trim this up, and then we're going to create the background. Now let's see if I have my trimmer handy. All right, so I'm bringing in essential tool number 1, and I'm going to snip this down to, I'm going to start by bringing down the height to about 5 inches. So I'm just going to snip a little tiny bit. Bring that down, and then I want it to be about 5 inches, which is there. And I'm going to create some panels so that we break up the pattern a little bit. Now you could stop here and it would still look pretty, but I'm going to create some panels that are about 1 1/4 inches wide. So there's one, and I'm going to need 3 of these, 1 1/4. And what I'm doing is looking at my guide up at the top, but I'm going to the right instead of going this way. I'm looking over here. There's my 1 inch and 1 1/4. It just helps me balance the paper a little bit up, abutted against that guide there. And then one more. at 1.25 inches. Alrighty, so that's going to be our background. And we're going to bring in our card base and adhere this down. Again, flat adhesive. And so I'm going to give it about, a little bit over a 1/4 inch border there. So, and I'm not being meticulous, I'm not being precise. It might be a little bit wonky, that's okay, I like that. And then the other one I'm going to put in the same, but I'm going to lean it a little tiny bit. And there we go. And then the center one is going to be placed last. And I'm going to push it just a tiny bit up. There we go, and a little bit askew. There we go. All right, now next I have pre-cut the daffodils, but I'm going to share with you how I did them because it might look a little bit confusing. I did mention that we get doubles of the dies. So the bigger daffodil has the 3 petals and we double stack this. And then it's got the detail die that's going to be overlaid on top. It fits in nicely. And I need 2 of these to create the larger daffodil. So I actually cut 4 of these. And I have the little buttercup center that has the solid base, and then it's got the detail that you lay over top. So here's what's that going to look like. Then there's another daffodil style that has just 3 main petals, and there's a detail for it as well. And then to this we also add the little buttercup detail. And then finally there's a bud, which has the solid background and then the little detail. So all of these are what I pre-cut, and I did use my mini. They all pass through the mini, and I'll share with you how I built them. So there's that 3 petal one, and I chose to do Whisper White on Whisper White. Sorry, Very Vanilla on Very Vanilla. I'm so used to using Basic White all the time, and then sometimes I don't even call it Basic White. It's still Whisper White to me, but you know what I mean, right? There's my little buttercup. So I need 2 of these here. This one has another piece to it. I don't want to put it too far out. That goes there. So I've got my bottom piece, and I've got my detail piece here. And that's the detail piece there. I need detail piece here. On this one, I went with the Daffodil Delight bud. And here's my buttercup, and I think I'm missing 1 buttercup, right? Let's see, I think I might have one handy, or I can just cut another. There we go. And, there it is. Need that. Okay, and then I've got my stems done as well. So I'm going to bring those in. Let me put my reference card aside. I'll bring this over. And to build these, I'm going to start with the bigger one first. I'm just going to put a little tiny glue dot in the center, and I'm going to bring in the detail. And there is actually a right way to rotate this. You're going to see that the little detail fits right into the base. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So there's one. So what I mean by that is there is a right way to rotate these. So if I did this, whoops, if I did this, it wouldn't be quite right. I want to make a mistake intentionally. It's hard to, because they're all pretty good. You're going to see that this is off just a tiny bit. Let's see if I can pick it up. Let's see. If I push this way, well, trust me, there is a right and a wrong way. There's one that has a sharper edge to it, and you want to make sure that it's abutted to the one with the sharper edge, which is right there. So I'm looking at this little angle right here to layer over that piece. And I'm just going to layer it with a little dot of glue and adhere it there. And then these 2 are going to get adhered together, and I'm just going to kind of rotate a little tiny bit. And Let's see, I want a longer one here. So I'm going to put that right there. Again, another dotted glue, putting that right there. So there is part of the flower, the larger flower. Then I'm going to put the Daffodil Delight on the little buttercup center. Just a tiny bit of liquid glue. And then this gets layered top here. So again on the center. And I'm just going to push this down. And look at that. We just built a daffodil. Fairly easy. And I'm going to do the same with the smaller, the 3-petal daffodil. So put it right there. And I'm just making sure that I have those, whoops, those little tiny die cuts, those little hanging chads kicked out. Right there. It gets assembled there. And this one gets a buttercup as well. So I'm going to put this, so let me do it this way. It's a little tiny dot on the back of the top layer. Marcia, you know what? It is fairly easy. When you look at the pieces, it's like putting together the puzzle. Really. That goes there. Then I have another, a little slim petal here. They can be overwhelming. I agree. I totally agree. So Pam says the dies can look overwhelming. Totally agree, which is why I chose to kind of take these and share with you how to build them out, because once you do it once, they don't need to be intimidating. They actually go together fairly easily. So this one is another narrower petal, a pair of petals, and we are going to put this behind that 3-petal flower. And let's see, I want it going. So really, I don't know that there's a right and a wrong way. You could probably experiment and build your flowers out different ways. Look at how pretty this is going to look. There's my really pretty, it's just kind of like in a different stage of flowering, I think. And then finally, I am going to put, and I'm going to angle this one slightly to the right. I'm going to put my little buttercup in here. So pretty. And I've tried it many different ways. I tried doing the detail layer in Daffodil Delight as well. That seemed a little bit overwhelming, but as I said, you could experiment and try different things. I also tried cutting it with the pattern paper, and it did look very pretty with the crushed curry pattern paper and the detail dies, and that looked pretty as well. So there's lots of different things you could do. Now the last one I'm going to put together is the little bud, and so this just has a tiny detail. It goes right over top, and I'm going to go ahead and add that to a stem, and I'm going to make that the right facing stem. So I'm going to put in a little bit of glue here, and I'm going to attach it to the stem. I just kind of hug it right underneath. And I'm also going to put the full flower onto a stem that faces to the left. And again, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue here and bring it down this way. All right, so there we go. Now the trick is going to be to create your bouquet. And what I did was literally just put the flowers together as I would with a bouquet. So I've got a leaf, and let's see if I can support it a little bit. Then I have that longer bud that's going to go a little bit higher off to the side, and then I have another leaf. There we go. And watch what I'm going to do. Because I kind of like that, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring in my card base, and I'm going to put these down. I'm just going to put some adhesive on the back and stick them down onto my card base. So no fussiness about it. Flip it over and put it right onto my card base. So it's going to be a little bit different every time. And I think I might have gone a little bit too far down with the glue. Let me snip that off. So you can see I'm just going to snip off the stems, just like so. All right, and I might need to put a little bit more adhesive, one on the back of this little bud. So just securing that down. And then I also need to kind of lift the stems a little tiny bit and put a little bit of adhesive on the back side here. There we go. Not so difficult. The single or the smaller daffodil is just going to be aligned right on top here. And I think I added a couple of dimensionals and I put mini dimensionals on. And so one there, and I'm just gonna kind of put them on the petals to bring this down, keep it in place. And the bud's gonna go right like so. So let's see, I like it right around there. And let's see, I'm going to next add my ribbon, and I'm gonna make a little bow. So I'm gonna bring in my little easy bow maker, which I love because it helps me make pretty bows easily. If I could just figure this out. So wrap it twice, a little bit longer. And this is the Evening Evergreen Sheer Ribbon. Whoops, Christy. Yes, welcome to my world. That kind of stuff happens to me all the time. Getting unplugged and not realizing it, and yeah. All right, so let's see. I need to bring this down. So I'm using my take your pick tool to kind of help myself out here. Never seen a bow maker like that, Marcia. It's pretty easy, and you know what? If I have a little tip on it, it makes it easier. So I've seen lots of the wooden ones. This is a nice flat tool, and I got it from my favorite shopping place, Amazon, because they so easy to buy. One click, and then before you know it, it's on my doorstep. And so you can make different size bows. Nice little bows every time. There we go. I'm gonna pull it out. There we go. There's my pretty little bow. And this is going to go on the bouquet. And you guessed it, I am going to attach with the mini glue dots. Yes, Christy, I'm glad you made it back because we're not done yet. We still have our third way with the Daffodil Daydream, and I'm just now finishing up the second way. So just a little bit more to go there, and I'm just going to secure that down like so. I'll worry about trimming the tails in just a second. I'm going to bring in my little die cut, and this die cut came from the Many Messages die set. So that is the die, that's one die that cuts a multitude of labels. I thought I had it handy here to share with you. Let's see. Oh. Well, I am not finding it. Let's see if I can share with you in the catalog. I thought I had pulled it for you to share with you, Lowe's. So let's see. It's called Many Messages. And I'll try to pull this up really close. So one pass and you get all of these labels. This is the one I picked on right here. It's a very cool die to have for all different shapes of greetings. And that is what I'm going to stamp my happy birthday on in Memento Black again. And it's pretty much centered. I just want to make sure I can get it semi-straight. There we go. There's my outside greeting. The inside greeting is going to go on a piece of Very Vanilla, and it says, let's see, wishing you every happiness this special day will bring. So I'm going to ink that up again in Memento Black. I'm going to stamp down. And we're just going to add one tiny little butterfly from the stamp set, right like so. There you go. That's our inside greeting. And I'm going to cover that up before I get inky. This goes on the inside, right? And let's just make sure I cut it down. I did. Looks a little bit wide to me. And I'm using flat adhesive. That way we can write the message, sign the card without it being lumpy underneath. Goes right inside. And we just have a couple more things to do. We're going to attach our outside greeting. I'm going to put some dimensionals on that. Down below. There we go. And this goes right underneath that smaller daffodil. And we're going to add one of our little bee trinkets again with the mini glue dots, one on each wing. Right up here, right underneath the little bud. And let's trim up that ribbon at an angle. And there you go. There's way number 2 with the Daffodil Dreams. So this one we created the daffodils with the die cuts in the set. So both cards, I mean, they're still daffodils, but they're totally different styles. Coloring, die cutting. Let's go on to the final way with the Daffodil Daydream bundle. And this time we are going to put the designer series paper that coordinates with it to work. So we've got those beautiful daffodils. There is one sheet in the paper pack that has a wide border all along the bottom, and you have 2. You can cut from the bottom and you can cut from the top, and this is what you get. So let me share with you. This is what it looks like. And so you guessed it, I fussy cut there, and it's actually not that difficult. I'm just going to follow the lines on the designer series paper. Well, first of all, I'm going to cut it down just a little tiny bit, and I'm going to save the center. We're not going to toss that because we don't toss our scraps, right, my friends? You're just like me. So I can use that, and we are going to use it. So what I'm going to do is just come in and follow the silhouette cut all of this. Just turning the paper, and it's going to go fairly quickly. And what I could have done to keep from you having to watch me fussy cut, I could have pre-done this, right? But I didn't. So it's okay. It doesn't take very long, really. And I'm not the most precise, but you're going to get a pretty card anyway. And so this is just like a field of daffodils. Right, like so. Just stunning. You could even do a couple panels with this and kind of stagger them, layer them, and create a huge depth of daffodils. So who was it that gave me the sad face with fussy cutting? Maybe this won't be your favorite way with the Daffodil Daydreams, but it's always an option. You get beautiful color, you get beautiful images with just a little bit of work. I'll have to work towards all of it, so right, like so. Yeah, was it you, Marcia? Oh, you're too funny. All right, almost done. Really? Not that difficult. Thank you, Christy. It's gonna look really pretty. Now, I've got my silhouette there, and what I'm going to do is I am going to layer it up on a piece of vellum that is 4 inches by 5 1/4, and I'm going to stagger it just a tiny bit, and I am going to layer this up before I put it on the card base, and you'll see why in just a moment. And I did layer it with dimensionals, so I'm going to go ahead and put some dimensionals all the way around. And I just want it to be nice and secure. And let's try and come in. I'm going to switch out to the minis and put the minis in a couple of the high places. So first things first, I'm going to put this onto the paper, the vellum. And you're going to find with the vellum, it just softens the color in the background. So it's not as stark. You get a little softness back there. And good thing I mentioned that, because before I place it on the vellum, here's what I'm going to do. I am going to take my 2 1/4 inch punch. Hopefully you still have some punches in your, or circle punches in your arsenal. Let me undo that. I laid that right over top. There we go. And I'm going to insert it all the way and punch, because I want that vellum circle for the front of the card. And so no one's going to see this layer. We're just going to layer it up here. It's just secret between you and me that it has a hole in it. And let's see, I can't see because I'm on white, which is really hard to see for placement. There we go. Now I'm going to flip it over, and I know where my dimensionals are going to go to adhere this to the card base. So I don't want anything peeking through, because you will be able to see the adhesive, as you know, right? When you adhere vellum with most types of adhesive, you can see it through. Now, it won't do that with seal. It actually is invisible almost. So you could use like Stampin' Seal Plus. This way will work as well. My card base is going to be Old Olive. I'm going to go ahead and fold this down. It's standard card size, so scored right in the middle. Just like so. And oh, let me try and fix that. It's not quite right. There we go. And I'm going to adhere that down to the Old Olive. So this is kind of like a stacked card, but putting the vellum on dimensionals, it keeps that softer layer in there. So you have a little bit of light coming through there. So, all right, now it is 5 1/4, so I'm going to have about 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. Putting that down. So pretty. Then I'm going to bring in just a tiny strip. It's about 1 inch by 4. This is the dark, and I'm going to use that crushed curry side. I'm going to add this with adhesive, just flat adhesive. And I'm going to bring it in about 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. There we go. Then I'm going to stamp my sentiment on this scrap. See that very vanilla in here? So I'm going to stamp there, and actually what I'm going to try to do, I am using this punch called Label Me Lovely. And I'm going to come in and I'm actually going to punch it first, because I want the little branches sticking out there. I'm just going to come in from, let's see, right like so. Let's see. I'm trying to get as much of the little stems as possible. There we go. Now I'm going to stamp that. This is a sympathy card. So from the same stamp set, Peaceful Moments, I'm using the With Deepest Sympathy stamp, and I'm going to stamp it right in the center here. There we go. So you have a little bit of the images popping up from the field of flowers, and then I'm going to add this to the vellum that we stamped from the middle of the vellum layer. And again, I'm going to pop that up with dimensionals. But this layer of vellum I am going to put down flat, so I'm going to use a little bit of my seal. Put it right on my card front, just like so. And see what I mean with the Stampin' Seal Plus? You can barely see through on that, so it really helps out. And I'm going to add my sentiment right in here. It fits really nicely in that little vellum layer. Oops, it's a little askew though. Let's see if I can tweak it. There we go. And I am going to create another little bow, this time just the gingham. And I'm going to bring in that bow maker again. Hello, Sonia. Thank you for sharing. All right, so I'm just going to have a little bit of length of ribbon here, and I'm going to bring it around, wrap it. You're going to see I'm going to get a nice little bow out of this. I might need a tiny bit more, so I'm not fussing. You know, you don't want to be too thrifty because then sometimes you just waste the whole strand because it was too short. But I haven't cut yet, so that's fine. And I'm trying to pull that up from behind. And I'm going to give myself just a tiny bit more. There we go. Just like that. This is called the Bow Easy, and it does really make some pretty tiny bows. You can make bigger ones too, but most of mine are small. And I'm just going to bring that through the loop. Let's see, hopefully if I can push that through. Having trouble. There we go, it's coming. It's coming. There we go. Going to tighten my knot there. And I'm going to snip finally with my ribbon scissors. Peel that off. It's going to be a pretty little bow. And this is going to be adhered right to the side. Again with the mini glue dots. Right here and right here. And I'm just going to put this right off the label so that the bow is pretty much the same height as the raised elements. And then this goes on the side. And we can trim up the little ends so they're not frayed. And then finally, we're going to add our little trinket, the bee trinket. And the easiest way for me to secure it is with mini glue dots on the wings. And I do use 2. And this is going to go right on the little label, like so. And let's see, I have a layer for the inside as well because I'm on a colored cardstock. And so this is what says with deepest sympathy. And then the inside is going to say, thinking of you with all my heart. And so I always say it, the sympathy cards, they're the ones you don't like to use, but they're the best to have on hand so that when you need them, they are ready to go. You don't have to craft when your heart is heavy. And then I'm going to actually use a little bit of the splatter. This comes in the stamp set down at the bottom. And we're going to add our little butterfly, if I can spot it. Let's see. Like so. And we just need to flat adhere that. All right, so flat adhere, just a little trail of liquid glue. And just like so, oops, it needs to come over just a tiny bit. There we go. And there is the third way with Daffodil Daydream. So we have our 3 cards, and we have actually 2 options on the first card. And let's see here, we had 2 options. Yay, I like that. It's hard to choose. So there's Daffodil Daydream's 3 ways. They're all a little bit different. One was the coloring, one was the die cutting, and one was the designer series paper. It's a beautiful bundle that's perfect for springtime and in all occasions. So you can see I used it with sympathy, with birthday, with congratulations. It's really a sweet bundle. And thank you, Marcia. I appreciate you saying that. So my offer to you is if you would like to place an order, a $50 order will get you the free Bumblebee Trinkets, and the bundle itself, I believe is, let's see, the bundle itself is $54.75, which qualifies you for the free paper. So how cool is that? So you can get the bundle, get the free paper, and I'm going to gift you the bumblebees for placing an order by Monday night. I will give you a hostess code to use because that's how I cover our gifts. You can craft along with me and make these cards, or the other option will be to join my class in the mail, which is coming up at the end of the month. And the class in the mail, not these cards, it'll be different cards with the Daffodil Daydream bundle as well, where for just $39 you're going to be able to create 8 cards, and it'll include your paper, your ribbon, and your embellishments. A little bit different spin. If you want to jump on the bundle, remember, celebration ends February 28th, and the sooner you order the gifts, the better. I have noticed lately that some of the things are going out of inventory. For a while, things were looking pretty good, and I hadn't hit any back order or unavailable to order, but they're coming up again the longer we get in, or the deeper we get into celebration. So get what you like now as opposed to later. I thank you so much for joining me. Have a super weekend. Oh my gosh, it's big game day. It's Galentine's Day weekend. Valentine's Day coming up on Monday, and I hope that you can join me tomorrow at 11 over in the online classroom for my VIPs. I'm going to give you your last minute holiday project so you can craft a Galentine card or Valentine card and a little treat. So skip the card aisle. Join me tomorrow for some ideas on putting your own gifts together. Thank you, Marcia. Have a great weekend. If you have any questions or comments, post them below. I'll be checking the comments a little bit later. The video, the condensed version, will be available over on YouTube, hopefully by tomorrow morning as well. Have a great weekend, friends.